All right, guys, y'all ready to get started? Guys, if you want to grab your seat, we'll go ahead and get going. We got folks coming in. Oh, looks like the group just walked in. Look at this perfect time. Group just walked in. Hey, Clint, help everybody get seats. We've got a few folks walked in. Guys, who's excited about today? You've been here. So, guys, thank y'all for being here. We truly appreciate it. My job, guys, and for the people online, hopefully everybody can see me. I think the camera's over here, so Steve will be standing on that side. But, our goal is to help you win. If you're a realtor, we want to help you win in business. We want to help you close more business. If you're a loan officer, we have some loan officers that are here. My job is to help you close more business as a loan officer. So it's our goal to help you win this year in business. Who knows what your win is this year in business? Do you have a goal? Everybody got a goal? You know what it's going to take for you to win? If you don't, you got to have a goal. You got to know what you're shooting for. So, guys, a couple of things I just want to touch on. I'm going to introduce my main man, Steve, here. Success leaves clues. I believe that you should all have a mentor. I've had mentors for 12 years. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later. But you can learn from people who have done it. Okay. I've been coaching with Steve. He's my personal coach since 2018. He's one of my personal coaches. I have a couple. And Southwestern Consulting, they do a fantastic job. What I love about Steve is he leads with his faith. Okay. I'm a person of faith. I believe in Jesus Christ. That's who I follow. That's what I do. Now, not everybody agrees with that, but I believe that I shouldn't, I can't not say that, right? And that's something that I love about Steve. When he comes to a coaching call, he's always got a Bible verse. He's always got, why this is, how does this relate to my relationship with my wife, my kids, what I'm doing at church, because it all intertwines to our faith. I believe that everything we have in business has got to come from our faith. And if it doesn't, you're going to have misalignments. You're going to have problems. We're going to have issues anyway, right? We're in a crazy market. We got plenty of issues. So, but guys, I'm going to read a couple of notes that I got about Steve. As a peak performance executive coach and partner of the international training company Southwestern Consulting, Steve Reiner has invested over 30 years as a producing sales manager, consistently leading by example, producing in the top 1%. He was the #1 coach out of 165 coaches at Southwestern Consulting last year. So we're learning from the best of the best. He's humble. He won't say all this stuff, but I'm going to give him his props. He did recruit and train and managed over 400 salespeople who also finished in the top 3%. So not only has he done it, he's helped 400 people finish in the top 3% in their field. His ability to equip clients to be fearless, achieving breakthrough success in business and life has been honed in working with over 900 clients one-on-one. So he's coached 900 people one-on-one in his career. Having also personally knocked on 19,000 doors. You ever done door knocking? Couple? 19,000 doors. That seems daunting to me. I don't want any part of that right now. And conducted more than 12,000 presentations. Steve's example has equipped thousands of people to multiply their earnings and their success in life. He's the author of Navigate 2.0, Selling the Way People Like to Buy, and his upcoming book is Fearless. He's also, like I said, my personal coach. So let's give a warm welcome to Steve Reiner.
I'm excited to be with you guys today. I flew out here yesterday from Boulder, Colorado. That's where I live. And my mission is to help people to be fearless, to crush their goals and have a blast doing it. The reason why that means a lot to me is because I used to be one of these salespeople that would wake up every morning with a pit in my stomach. Raise your hand if you've ever had like a pit in your stomach to start your day. It's like every day I had like this fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. And I put so much pressure on myself to perform. It was like I would base my identity and my sense of self-worth on my production. You guys ever been there before? Raise your hand if you can relate. I felt like every day it was a roller coaster. It's like one day I'm up here, the next day I'm down here. And I'd bring that anxiety home to my family. I just wasn't present. I've got 3 daughters at home. And when they were little, I remember I'd be reading books. But the whole time I'm thinking about work and how can I close that next deal? And then I met somebody who completely changed my life. It was like everything I thought I knew about success, he turned it upside down, gave me a whole new playbook to work out of. It was as if the old playbook I was using was filled with lies, and the new playbook that I was given was filled with the truth. And it was through his mentorship that not only did I take my business to a whole new level, but he gave me a process to enjoy the journey. And so I went from being this person who was really stressed out to developing a relaxed intensity. I went from being like this angry warrior to becoming a peaceful warrior, where I learned how to get in the zone, where I could show up each day and be fearless, hitting all cylinders, and almost felt effortless. And so that coaching had such an impact on my life. That's when I decided to devote my life to helping other people to be fearless, to crush their goals and have a blast doing it. And so I'm excited about working with you and hopefully helping you to be fearless as well. And so I like to start by talking about what are the habits of a peak performer. The first habit is you got to have the skills. And when I think about the skills, you have to be able to have a brand for yourself. Raise your hand if you have a very unique brand as a realtor. Okay. So I like to engage people. I like to get everyone involved. And so Christian, what's your brand, brother?
Exodus Group is the name of our team. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's leading people to God's promised land.
I love it. Leading people to God's promise. Like, what do you think about that, Chris?
I love it.
That's good, isn't it? He's not afraid to put his faith out there. Your brand is your unique value proposition. It's what separates you from all the other realtors out there. Are there a lot of realtors in Nashville? Mount Juliet? 15,000. So you need a brand. When people think about Deborah Waters, it's like, what do people think to themselves? Like, what's the first thought that pops into people's heads when they think about you, Deborah?
From beginning to end, I'll be there.
Oh, I like that. Nice. Good job. And so do you have a brand? Do you have a mission? You know, what gets you fired up out of bed in the morning? What gets you excited to go fight the good fight? Because it is a fight today, isn't it? Right? And so you better have some burning passion to get out there. Otherwise, you're going to be a victim, right? You're going to be curled up in a ball like most realtors. You want to set yourself apart with that unique value proposition. From there, you have to develop an army of ambassadors. Raise your hand if you have a whole network of referral partners that see you as the go-to realtor in Nashville. Okay, so you want to have a whole network of referral partners that don't just refer business, but they endorse you, right? You want to have people calling you saying, hey, I heard about what you did for my friend. How do I get you to be my realtor? You want to get to a point where you're not having to grovel for business, but people are having to sell you on why you should take them on as a client, right? You want to endorse-based clientele. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about having the skills. The next habit of a peak performer is you got to have the sales motivation. I call it self-motivation / self-confidence. If you want to be a peak performer, you have to show up each day with great energy and passion and conviction, right? You want to be able to have that discipline, that drive, to be able to do the activity, to be able to get on the phone, to be able to get yourself in front of as many people as possible. People want to do business with people that are excited, people that are passionate. They don't want to partner with people that are just going through the motions. So to be that peak performer, you got to have that self-motivation. The third fundamental is you have to have good systems. Now, I've worked with a lot of realtors that would tell me that they're not very structured during the day. They like to be kind of spontaneous and flexible. And so what often happens is you say, okay, today I'm going to really work on building my business. And I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to make prospecting dials. You get to the office, and before you get on the phone, you say, let me just check my emails real quick. It's like, Troy, you get on the email and like, what happens to you? Yeah, you're sucked into it for like the next 2-3 hours, right? And then like, Jim?
It's an instant to-do list that I have no control over.
Absolutely. Now all of a sudden you're looking at your watch going, it's time for lunch, right? And you go out and you have a big lunch, and Jim, what happens to your motivation on the phone now?
A little slower after lunch.
It's like, are you ready for a nap, right? You got food coma. All of a sudden you start practicing creative avoidance. Who knows what creative avoidance is? Chris?
It's being busy without being productive.
That's right. It's like, you need to be on the phone making those dials, but you don't feel like it. So you creatively avoid that for doing what's more comfortable, like maybe checking your emails, surfing the net. All of a sudden it's 5 o'clock, you're driving home and you're kicking yourself because you haven't done anything to grow your business. And so with that in mind, I encourage everyone to get on a really good schedule. And so what you want to do is you want to have your entire week scheduled out from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, 7 days a week, right? Now, I know a lot of people look at this and they're like, there's no way I keep a schedule like this because I have things that pop up. And I understand that. The idea is if you can't picture your perfect week, you'll never have the perfect week. I think a lot of people believe success is about how many hours they work in a week. But what I would tell you is success isn't about how many hours you work. It's about how energized you are with your tasks throughout the week. And in order to maximize your energy, you want to develop something that I call full engagement. Full engagement is where you're fully engaged in everything that you're doing personally and professionally. In order to develop full engagement, you have to be strong in 4 muscle groups. You have to be strong physically, strong emotionally, strong mentally, and strong spiritually. If you're not strong in those 4 muscle groups, there's no way you can bring your A game to all that you do. So you want to make sure that you're carving time into your schedule to take care of your body, your heart, your mind, and your spirit. And so do you have specific time in your schedule devoted for your physical muscles? Do you have a specific time each morning for working out? Do you know exactly what time you need to be in bed every night so that you get enough sleep so you can wake up with energy to serve your clients on a deep level the next day? Do you have time blocked in your schedule to do meal preparation, to make sure that you're eating clean and you're not just eating things on the go? What are you doing to strengthen your emotional muscles? Do you have a date night blocked in your schedule with your spouse, with your kids? What are you doing for fun to feed your heart? What are you doing to strengthen your mind? Do you have time blocked in your schedule for personal development, for coaching, for reading, listening to podcasts? And what kind of time do you have in your schedule for your spiritual muscles? Do you have time devoted for being with the Lord, for praying, for being in the Bible, going to church? Because I'd rather have you working fewer hours, right, and be more engaged and energized and effective than working longer hours and you're just operating on fumes, you're exhausted, you're burned out. Now, when it comes to work, you can see in my schedule, I've got something called golden hours. That's when you're on the phone prospecting for goals. What do you think would happen, Christian, if I didn't have the golden hours like locked in my schedule?
Your pipeline freezes up.
That's right. If I don't have my golden hours in my schedule, knowing that that's when I have to be on the phone prospecting, getting referrals, setting up appointments, doing business development. If I don't have that blocked in, I'll just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. It'll be the end of the day and I haven't done anything to grow my business. So we call this the art of not thinking. I believe we waste so much time during the day thinking about what we're going to do next, and we make decisions based on what we feel like doing versus what we need to do. The art of not thinking is you've got your schedule so detailed out, there's nothing to think about. All you do is you wake up, you execute, you follow your plan. And so I encourage everyone, get a really good schedule, and it takes the emotion out of it. Now, what ties these things together is habits. Habits are what help you to not just be motivated some days, but be consistently motivated day in and day out. Now, a lot of the things that we talk about today are going to be things that you guys have seen before. But the question is, are you executing? For example, have you ever been to a big sales conference where you learn a lot of great material? But then, Deborah, you come back to the office on Monday and what happens?
All right back into your previous Friday.
That's right. It's like everything goes on the shelf, you get back into the grind, you forget all of it. And so that's why we encourage everyone to get on a really good schedule and to have accountability. And that's why we have our Top Producer Edge coaching program. It's a program where if you qualify, you're going to get partnered up with your own coach that's going to work with you for the next 12 to 18 to 24 months. Now, for some of you guys, that might be exactly what you're looking for to take your game to the next level. And for some of you guys, that might not be for you, and that's okay too. My goal today in putting this together is to give you some great tools, regardless of your interest in coaching. So let's get into it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about breaking through some belief barriers to be fearless, to crush your goals and have a blast doing it. Raise your hand if you've ever allowed the 6 inches between your ears prevent you from achieving a goal. Okay. So what are those things that you've wanted to accomplish, but you haven't because of some kind of block inside your mind? What does it cost you when you know you've got all this potential that you're not tapping into? What are the consequences of finding yourself on the sidelines while other people are in the arena getting after it? I want you to imagine for a second, whatever your goals are, imagine you can act on them without hesitation, without fear. How would that impact your business? How would that impact your life? If I could share some tools today to help you bust through some limiting belief barriers, to be fearless, to crush your goals and have a blast doing it, Raise your hand if that might be a good use of our time together today. All right, let's dig into it. Now, that's a big part of what we do in coaching, helping people be fearless in all aspects of their business and their life. There's no way I can get to that point today. That's what coaching is for. But regardless of your interest in coaching, my goal today is to help you start making progress. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. Slow and steady wins the race. So let's go. So if we're going to break through belief barriers, we have to understand the belief cycle. Your beliefs shape your thoughts, which lead your emotions, which fuel your actions, which drive your results. Now, some people would say they can't control their emotions because they would say their emotions come from their circumstances. Who knows what we call these people? Victims. Did you say that? That's right. Victims. If you're a victim, then you believe it's your circumstances that dictate your emotions and dictate your actions. So if you're a victim, let's suppose you show up to work on Monday and you start feeling stressed by the interest rates. And you start feeling stressed when you think about all the work you're going to have to do to achieve your goals. If you're a victim, then, I mean, how's that going to make you feel? Like, if you're a victim, David, how's that going to affect your emotions?
Defeated.
Yeah. And if you're a victim, how's that going to affect your actions?
You stay in that circumstance.
That's right. You're going to feel anxious and you're not going to want to work. You're not going to feel like picking up the phone. But Chastity, as professionals, what are we taught to do with our emotions? If we don't feel like doing something, what are we taught to do with our feelings?
Push them back and move forward, or push them back, push forward.
That's right. So the second type of person is what we call the suppressors. So if you're a suppressor, then you've gotten really good at just taking your emotions and just shoving them into a box. So even though you've got all this anxiety, we're taught to just push down the anxiety. Even though you've got all this anger, because that big deal just fell apart, we're taught to push down the anger. Even though we're really depressed, we're taught to just suck it up, buttercup, put a smile on your face, fake it till you make it. But what's the challenge if we keep, David, if we keep pushing our emotions down, what's the challenge with that?
You build it all up, but there's no relief.
That's right. I mean, that box can only hold so much of your emotions. And in the meantime, you keep pushing your emotions down, your actions are going to feel forced. They won't feel authentic. They'll be less impacting and won't be sustainable. The idea of like suppressing your emotions, I want you to imagine for a second, you're like walking down the street, you step on a nail. Okay, and you got a pain in your foot. But imagine you're like, I don't have time to deal with this pain. I'm going to suppress it. Just take some painkiller for it. Take some Advil, Tylenol. I mean, Philip, if you don't address the pain, what do you think is going to happen to your foot? Yeah, eventually it'll probably fall off. And if you keep pushing down the emotional pain, how do you think that might affect you physically? Yeah. And if you keep pushing down the emotional pain, we're talking like high blood pressure, we're talking weakened immune system, we're talking diseases. So if you think about it, if you do have a pain in your foot, you're going to want to get it checked out. The doctor says you got a nail in your foot, get the nail removed, you're ready to go. If you have an emotional pain, right, rather than just pushing through it, you're going to want to figure out what's causing it. Because if you don't figure out what's causing it, you might get through it, but it's going to come back. It's going to get worse and worse. But if you can understand why it's there, you can put measures in place to prevent the pain from occurring in the future. And that's what the third type of person does. So they're not like the victims. They don't allow their circumstances to dictate their emotions. They're not like the suppressors. They don't try to push down their emotions. See, the third type of person, they're what we call the masters. They learn to master their emotions. So rather than pushing down their anger, they learn to show up each day with more joy. Rather than pushing down their anxiety, they learn to show up with more peace. So rather than just following your emotions, you learn to lead your emotions. You learn to actually master your emotions. But Aaron, how do you do that? How do you become a master of your emotions? Okay. So if you look at the belief cycle, what comes before your emotions? Your thoughts. If you want to change the way you feel, you got to change the way you think and how you look at things. Because when you change the way you think and how you look at things, things you look at start to change. Most people believe their external world is predictive of their happiness level. That's why most people are so unhappy right now. Look at the world, right? But the research shows only 10% of your happiness comes from your external world. 90% of your happiness comes not from your external world, but from how your brain processes the world. So we have to become a master of how we process things. How is it that two people have the same exact setback, yet one person's paralyzed by it, the other person actually becomes stronger through it? Obviously, they're processing things differently. So when you change the way you think, and how you look at things you look at start to change. I used to wake up every morning with a pit in my stomach, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. And I would feel stressed because of that. And I would resent that stress. You know, I looked at stress as a threat, something trying to prevent me from achieving my goals. And then when I got on the phone and tried to set an appointment, that person would tell me not interested, and I'd feel more stress. And I'd blame the stress on that person. I'd blame the stress on the interest rates. I'd blame the stress on the economy. You guys know what I'm talking about? And what happens is when you blame your stress on anything outside of yourself, you become a victim. And when you're a victim, you're releasing cortisol into your brain. And the cortisol is going to course through your body, cause your body to go into this hypersensitive state where your heart will beat faster, your blood pressure will increase. You put yourself into an anxious state. You can't think clearly. You become very unfocused, unintelligent, making really bad decisions. However, when I changed the way I looked at stress, all of a sudden stress took on a whole new meaning. I stopped looking at stress as a threat. I started looking at stress as an opportunity to grow. So I realized you cannot grow without stress. It's like, if I want to get physically stronger, is it not true that I need to put my body through resistance? So does it not make sense if you want to get emotionally stronger, like if you want to become a true master of your emotions, does it not make sense that in order for that to happen, you have to go through some resistance, right? It's like anyone can be a master of their emotions when everything's going according to plan, right? But when you're able to embrace your obstacles and view it as an opportunity to do your emotional workout so that you can get emotionally stronger, that's someone who's going to develop some strong emotional muscles. So I stopped looking at stress as a threat and started looking at stress as an opportunity to grow, right? So now when that person hangs up on me, tells me he's not interested, and I feel stressed, I embrace that stress. I say, here's an opportunity for me to grow my phone skills. Here's an opportunity for me to become a more effective communicator. Here's an opportunity for me to master my emotions, right? And as you embrace your stress, now you're becoming a master. Now you're not releasing cortisol, you're releasing dopamine. Dopamine is going to flood through your body, put you into a peak performance state where you're going to think clearly, you become more focused, more energized, more intelligent, more creative, better equipped to solve problems. You make better decisions, you get better results. So when you change the way you look at things, things you look at start to change. But how do you do that? How do you change your thoughts? You got to change your beliefs, right? Your beliefs are your single most important factor in determining how your life will turn out. Let me repeat that. Your beliefs are your single most important factor in determining how your life works out. Your beliefs, they shape your thoughts, which lead your emotions, which fuel your actions, which drive your results. When you've got healthy beliefs, your emotions, your actions are a byproduct of those beliefs. When you've got healthy beliefs, now your actions are inspired, they're authentic, they're impacting, and they're sustainable. When you've got empowering beliefs, you can master your emotions, you can rise above your circumstances. So the question is, do your beliefs empower you or do they cripple you? Or better yet, do you even know what your beliefs are? Because we all have beliefs. Most of our beliefs are at the subconscious level. They're beliefs that have been conditioned into us over the years, but they don't necessarily serve us. In fact, for a lot of us, our beliefs are crippling us, right? So for example, what is your belief on being a peak performer? Because if you're a victim, here's the belief. I'm okay with not being a peak performer, right? Because I'm uncomfortable with change and I don't want the stress of certain activities. So what do you think, Becca? What do you think about that belief system?
I've been there before.
Okay. So what's wrong with that belief system?
You have to believe in yourself and push yourself through your goals, get out of your comfort zone in order to grow.
That's right. I mean, you can't grow without change and you can't grow without stress. So if you're going to avoid stressful situations, you're going to avoid change, you ain't going to grow. And I emphasize the word ain't. Either you're green and growing or you're ripe and rotted, right? That's the challenge with that belief system. Now, if you're a suppressor, this is the belief system. I'll try to be a peak performer, grinding out the activity, pushing through the anxiety. Ryan, what do you think about that belief system?
I mean, it's definitely resonated in different seasons for me. I think learning about emotional intelligence has really kind of been a turning point for me.
What's the challenge with this particular belief?
You're setting up your own roadblocks. You can't push through emotion if you don't. It's always going to be there if you don't do it.
I think a lot of people are in this category. A lot of top producers believe this is normal. If I want to be a top producer, I have to accept the fact I'm going to be stressed out all the time. You know, if I want to be a peak performer, I just have to accept this part of the course. In fact, if I'm not stressed out, I must be off track. I know a lot of top producers that can't even go on vacation in Hawaii and have a good time because they're always thinking about work and they can't be present. They're so anxious. A lot of people believe this is normal. In fact, I remember when we started coaching together, Chris, you said something that's taught at the core is if your hair's not on fire, you must be not working hard enough, right? If you're not stressed out and anxious, you must be off track. This is normal. And if you believe this is normal, you're going to condemn your life and your career to a lot of anxiety. I don't know about you, but to me, that's exhausting. Now, if you're a master, here's the belief system that I like. I am a peak performer, embracing stress as an opportunity to grow into a peaceful warrior with relaxed intensity, positively impacting others, living the dream, providing unparalleled service, earning a great income, achieving true independence. That vision drives me to do high quality activity. So, Julie, what do you think about that belief system?
I believe it's a lot like what we believe in.
Yeah. I mean, this is the difference between the way a victim, a suppressor, and a master thinks. See, a victim is driven by pleasing activities. Suppressors believe they have to grind through stressful activities. Masters, they embrace their activities because they're always focused on their purpose for why they're doing the activity, and they're focused on their vision for what the activity will lead to. So for a victim, if they don't like the activity, they just don't do it. A suppressor, they'll do the activity, but be very stressful and anxious. A master, they're going to embrace the activity as they focus on their purpose, they focus on their vision. The amount of your endurance is in direct proportion to the clarity of your purpose and vision. Aaron, what does that mean to you? Who wants to take a shot?
If you're clear in what you want and what your purpose is, then you can run the race. Like you're not gonna get, it's gonna be, if you believe that's your purpose and that's your vision, then you're gonna get there and you're not gonna be exhausted.
Tracy, that's exactly right. What do you think, Sean? Did she nail it? Awesome. The amount of your endurance is in direct proportion to the clarity of your purpose and vision. If you don't have a dream that you're pursuing, if you don't have a compelling vision you're going after, you're just going to focus on the work, and the work is going to suck. It's going to feel like a grind. It's going to lead to burnout. But if you've got this dream you're going after, you got this vision that you're pursuing, the kind of business that you want to build, the kind of impact that you want to make, the kind of person you want to be, the kind of life you want to live, if you've got that compelling vision, you'll show up as an unstoppable force as you'll start embracing the work with energy, because you'll connect the work with the vision. Now it's not a grind, it's an adventure. I mean, when you have that kind of belief system, you show up to work on Monday and you start feeling stressed because of the interest rates, and you think about all the work you're going to have to do to follow your business plan, and you go right to your belief. You say, you know what? I am a peak performer. Embracing stress is an opportunity to grow into a peaceful warrior with relaxed intensity, providing unparalleled service, positively impacting others, living the dream, earning a great income, achieving true independence. That vision drives me to do high quality activity. That belief shapes my thoughts. I say, I can't wait to crush it today, change some lives. And those thoughts are going to lead my emotions where I feel strong. I feel on purpose. I feel fearless. Those emotions are going to fuel my actions where I get on the phone with energy and courage. I'm fearless. And those actions drive positive results eventually. Remember, it is not your circumstances. It's always your beliefs. When you have the right beliefs, you can master your emotions. You can rise above your circumstances. So what are the circumstances that have you down? What are the circumstances that are derailing your emotions? What are the circumstances that are affecting your mindset? Right? Because we need to think about our beliefs, because if we have unhealthy emotions, unhealthy, feelings, chances are we have unhealthy beliefs. So for example, here's what I hear people say: I can't stand this. Look at this. I have to make my dials and just grind through. I mean, does that not just sound and look and feel exhausting? I mean, when you say that, it's like you're crippling yourself. I'll tell you what I think about that. I don't have to make my dials. I get to make my dials. However, I don't just make my dials, I crush my dials. And I don't grind through my work. I embrace my work. I tackle challenges and I grow through obstacles. I don't even know what it means to go through the motions. I put everything I have into everything I do. Observers can't tell if I'm working or playing, because whatever I do with passion. You guys with me? So what do you think is the biggest thing that holds people back from breaking through their belief barriers? John, what would you say?
Most likely themselves.
Yeah. 6 inches, right? Between our ears. Fear. Fear is one of the biggest success killers. It stops some of the most talented people from ever reaching their potential. What do you think is the number one fear that salespeople grapple with? Failure. What else? Rejection, right? What if I call this person and they tell me no, right? Fear of rejection. If we're going to rise above fear, we have to understand what creates fear. Okay. What creates fear? Tanya, what do you think? What creates fear?
I mean, what we tell ourselves, what's in our head.
What we tell ourselves is in our head. Okay. Check this out. Fear comes from trying to control things you can't control. Think about any kind of emotional fear you have. 100% of the time, you're trying to control something you can't control. Fear comes from trying to control things you can't control. Think about that. If you're worried about something you can't control, of course you're going to have fear because you can't control it, right? How many of you guys like Michael Jordan? Chris, come on. One of the reasons why MJ was in a league of his own was how he was able to rise above fear. Most people live in fear because they project the past into the future, right? MJ's gift was not that he could jump high, run fast, or shoot a basketball well. His gift was that he was totally present, and that was the separator. He never allowed anything he couldn't control to get inside his head. So let's suppose he's about to take a game-winning shot. If he missed the shot last night, he's not going to think about that. People ask him, do you ever fear missing a game-winning shot? It's like, why would I fear something that hasn't happened yet? That makes no sense, right? Fear comes from trying to control things you can't control. So if we have a fear of rejection, Josh, what are we trying to control that we cannot possibly control? Yeah, you can't control how other people receive you. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the #1 realtor in the country. You can't control how people are going to receive you. The more you worry about how people are going to receive you, the more fearful you're going to be, right? Now, the second reason why people have fear is because we have bought into a lie. We're believing a lie, right? Fear is a lie. It is a lie. I'm convinced most of what we've ever been taught about fear is a lie, right? It's not true, okay? We were not intended to live in fear the way that we are, depressed, and anxious, and angry, and fearful. This is not the way that we were intended to live our life. I hear speakers, very intelligent, motivational speakers, make this statement: true courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to face your fear. And the goal is not to be fearless, but just keep barreling through your fear. If you face your fear, it'll disappear. I'll tell you what, these are all lies from the pit of hell. You can face your fear all day, every day. It's not going to cause the fear to go away. The reason why I'm so convicted is because I believe this lie. Over half my career, I would be in fear. I'd wake up with a pit in my stomach, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not achieving my goals. And I didn't let it paralyze me. I just kept pushing through it. But it didn't disappear. I might have temporarily suspended it for a couple minutes, but it was back the next day. It's not action that cures fear. There's something else that cures fear, right? We're not intended to live in fear. In this business, that fear is normal and we should just keep pushing through it. It's a lie, right? Think about sports. Raise your hand if you were an athlete back in the day. Okay. Chris, what was your sport, brother? Basketball. So did you prefer to play scared or fearless?
Fearless.
What would happen if you played scared?
Bad performance.
Yeah, you would choke, right? If you've ever been in the zone, you know that's that place where you're just like hitting on all cylinders. You got a killer attitude and mindset. You visualize success. You eat problems for breakfast, right? You're fearless. So if it worked in sports, why would we think it wouldn't work in life, right? I really like this quote from this movie After Earth. It says, fear is not real. The only place it can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present may not ever exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. So why does it exist? Why do we have fear? Fear is designed to keep us safe, right? The fear response starts in a region of the brain called the amygdala, which is designed to detect any kind of stress stimulus, right? You see a predator out of the corner of your eye. See, that makes sense to me because when we first inhabited the planet, we didn't have grocery stores to get our food from. We had to go out and hunt for our food. So imagine, is it Logan? Logan, imagine you're out hunting over the weekend. The mountain lion is about to attack you. That fear response, the amygdala is triggered. It triggers the fight or flight stress hormone, cortisol. Cortisol shoots through your body, cause your body go into the superhuman state where you scale a tree like Tarzan. When you hear about a mom lifting a 2,000-pound car off her child, that's cortisol. The thing about cortisol is it's not meant to stay in your body for a long period of time. So if you're the type of person that's got like a lot of fear that you keep pushing through, that cortisol is going to course through your body, cause your body to go into a hypersensitive state where your heart will beat faster, your blood pressure will increase, your immune system will weaken, it will cause you to get sick, and over time, it'll cause diseases, anything from diabetes to heart disease to cancer to stroke. If that's not bad enough, Jim, cortisol causes an inflammatory response where your body will start to cook itself from the inside out. Doesn't that sound pleasant? Do we want to still believe that fear is normal and we should just keep pushing through it? No. We should reserve fear and cortisol for life-threatening situations, physically dangerous situations, right? Not for picking up the phone and calling somebody who might be interested in selling their house. Can you imagine telling a Navy SEAL that you had a fear of rejection, that you had to push through? This is the person that puts himself in harm's way every day. And we're talking about our poor, pathetic, pitiful fear. So what do you say we draw the line in the sand and we stop trying to face our fears? What do you say we learn how to show up fearless? Because if we're going to do that, we have to understand what creates fear, how to rise above it, right? Now, we said fear comes from trying to control things you can't control. And we said fear comes from believing a lie. So Natalie, if you have a fear of rejection, what is the lie that we're buying into? What's that?
The lie you're telling yourself.
Yeah, what's the lie? If we have fear of rejection, how are we lying to ourselves?
Good enough.
That we're not good enough? Yeah, how about this? That we should base our sense of self-worth on how people receive us, right? Raise your hand if you've ever been there before, right? I really like this quote from Jim Carrey, the comedian. He was giving a commencement speech at Stanford, and he was about ready to send off this graduating class. He said something I thought was really profound. He said, your need for acceptance will make you invisible in this world. Your need for acceptance will make you invisible in this world. Alex, what does that mean to you, brother?
Keep trying to please everybody else, you'll end up just blending in.
That's right. You keep trying to please and conform, you lose your personality, you lose your voice, right? You play it safe, you lose your ability to make any kind of impact on the world, right? And so, but now there's a deeper lie. If we have a fear of rejection and we're basing our confidence on how people treat us, there's a deeper lie we have. It's because we're believing life is all about me. I mean, that's the real reason I had a fear of rejection. How could you reject me? Don't you know who I am? Don't you know how hard I've worked to get to where I am? Haven't you seen my resume? How could you tell me no? But of course, no one's going to admit to believing life is all about them. So we mask it in something that the world finds more acceptable, more admirable. It's this thing called pride. Have you guys ever heard this before? Now, I know a lot about pride because I grew up with a dad that was really proud. You know, he always had to be right. And he would go to great lengths to prove everyone wrong, to prove himself right. Even when everyone knew he was wrong, he had to be right. And he could never apologize because apologizing was a sign of weakness. He couldn't be weak, so he always had to be right. And he would work really hard to instill this pride in me. He talked about how it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. It's every man for himself. You got to be better than everybody. You should be proud of who you are. Don't take crap from anybody. You can't trust anybody. They're going to try to take you down. So he's really hard on me, very critical. Nothing I did was good enough. I could go 4 for 4 in baseball. I could get straight A's, and he's telling me everything I'm doing wrong. His 2 favorite expressions were, what are you, an idiot? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. He thought by beating me down would somehow build me up, but it didn't. It killed my confidence. It was like I was afraid to ever really stretch myself because I was afraid to fail because I didn't want him calling me an idiot. So I just played it safe. I was afraid to really engage with people because I was afraid if they got to know me, they'd figure I was an idiot. So I just kind of kept people at arm's distance. I wasn't ever vulnerable with people, didn't want people to really get to know me. But if I ever did make a friendship with somebody, it was just a matter of time before I would destroy the relationship. Because sooner or later, someone was going to criticize me. And when they criticized me, it was like I had PTSD. Felt like I was 10 years old again, being criticized by my dad. So when someone criticized me, I criticized them back, but a lot worse. It was like I had a subconscious agreement with myself. that I'd never allow another human being to make me feel the way my dad made me feel. So when someone criticized me, I would lash out. I'd really rip their head off. You weren't going to say that to me. No way. So you can imagine I had a real tough time with rejection in sales. I had a really tough time. I did not like rejection. I remember I sold books door to door with Southwestern Advantage. I did that for 8 summers. I remember my first summer, I was stationed in Lakewood, Colorado. And I remember I knocked on this one door. Little girl answers. She must have been 5 years old. And I said, "Is your mom or dad there?" And I hear this voice from behind her say, "Shut the door." Next thing I know, this little girl's shutting the door in my face. Now you got to understand, Christian, it's one thing getting slammed by an adult, but man, have you ever been slammed by a 5-year-old? It's just not right. And so I just start like wailing on the door. Bam, bam, bam. The door's shaking. This door opens. This guy comes out. I'm not kidding, Chastity. This guy must have been 6'5". He must have weighed 400 pounds. He had no shirt on, big old bear belly, Budweiser in one hand, cigarette in the other, chewing his lip. He's like, "What the F do you want?" I said, "What's wrong with you? I'm out here trying to help kids with their education, and you have your daughter shut the door in my face? You must not care about your kids. You ought to be ashamed of yourself." Slam. A couple of minutes later, the police show up. I'd like to tell you that's the only time that happened that summer, but no, it happened 4 times. And so where did my pride get me? Where did my fear of rejection got me? It got me a critical spirit. I was really angry, a lot of busted up relationships, very lonely and depressed. So we got to figure this stuff out, people. Now, speakers will say action cures fear. But do you really believe that's true? Do you think action cures fear? I hope after today you recognize that this is not the cure for fear. What do you think actually cures fear? What's your belief on what cures fear? Who knows? What's that? Increase your confidence. I like that. Yeah. Who else? Clarity. Okay. I like that. Truth, right? Truth cures fear. You want to have the strength that comes from walking in truth, right? You want to know your personal truth so well that the moment you or the world starts to feed you the lies, you want to be able to call out the lies and replace them with the truth, because the truth will set you free, right? So rather than just like facing your fear, you want to take a step back and say, is this fear even legitimate? Or is it based on a lie? And if it's based on a lie, then what is the truth? And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to walk in truth. We don't want to allow the world to dictate who we are and how we feel. We got to know what our personal truths are, so that the moment you or the world starts to feed you the lies, you have to be able to call out the lies and replace them with the truth, because the truth will set you free. So if we know it's a lie to believe life is all about me, then what is the truth? What is life all about? What's that? Everyone else. Yes. True story. In Colorado, I do a lot of workshops because that's where I'm from. And when I asked this question to a bunch of commercial real estate agents last week, I could not get one person to answer this question the way you just answered it. Life's not about me, it's about serving others. I mean, it was like looking at a deer in a headlight. Life is not about me. I said, if that's a lie, what's the truth? I had all kinds of crazy answers. Not one person said, life is about serving others. I had people coming up to me saying, that's a new concept. I've never heard that before. I've been in sales for 30 years. That's really crazy. Okay, well, better late than never. If we know it's a lie to believe that we should base our confidence on how people treat us, then Christian, where should our confidence come from?
Ability to serve others.
Confidence should come from living out of our purpose to serve others. When you get your confidence from what people think about you and your results, you got everything to lose because you have no control over that. That's what makes you fearful. But when your confidence comes from living out of your purpose to serve others, now you've got nothing to lose, because it's no longer about you, it's about serving others. That's something you can control. That's what makes you fearless. So instead of saying, I hope I don't get rejected, we ought to be saying, I can't wait to make a difference in this person's life. Instead of saying, I hope I can close this deal, we ought to be saying, I can't wait to serve this person. It's about taking the focus off you, put it on serving others. We got to let go of what we can't control, focus on what we can. I can't control how people treat me. I got to let that go. Focus on what I can control, which is how I show up in love, in service, pouring in, encouraging people. So I have all these beliefs that I meditate on and pray on every morning to put me into a fearless state. Beliefs like life's not about me, it's about serving others. I don't worry about rejection because I'm not after acceptance. I'm too busy changing lives and making a difference. It's hard to be nervous when your heart is on service. Natalie, you need to write that down, girl. That's good stuff right there. It's hard to be nervous when your heart is on stuff. Julie, you got that? Let me hear you repeat it back. Amen. I'm fearless on the phone because the service I provide. Person's not afraid of rejection, can never be defeated. Now understand, Sean, the reason you're not afraid of rejection is not because you have 3-inch thick rhino skin that can't be penetrated. It's not because you don't care what people think about you. It's just that you're no longer consumed or controlled by what people think about you because you're focused on a higher purpose, which is to impact and change lives. If I got all bent out of shape because someone rejected me, I'm robbing somebody else out of the opportunity to receive that blessing. So when I get rejected, I just say some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Next, make the next dial. And so let's put this to the test. Let's suppose you're dealing with a bully, more of an emotional bully. Raise your hand if you've ever been confronted with a bully. Okay. So for a bully to actually have authority in your life, like what needs to take place? For a bully, Wyatt, to have authority in your life, what needs to happen?
You have to actually fear them.
Yeah, you have to give them that authority. You have to base your identity and sense of self-worth on what that bully thinks about you. So what would take away that authority? It's where your confidence no longer comes from what that bully thinks about you, but your confidence comes from living out of your purpose to serve others. Now, when that bully tries to bully you, your first thought is not on yourself, going, poor Steve. Your first thought is actually on the bully going, man, I wonder what's going on in his life to cause him to treat me this way. Because I understand hurt people hurt people. I understand most people are fighting a battle inside I know nothing about. So rather than taking it personally, I'm going to get with them and find out what's going on. You know, hey, man, I can see you're upset. What's going on? Now, this is where I know what you guys are thinking. Some of you guys are like, I don't think so. I'm not going to sit here and try to serve a bully. Okay, yeah, but what happens when that bully happens to be your spouse? What happens when that bully happens to be your teenage daughter? Who knows what I'm talking about? Anybody? Right, yeah. Tracy's with me. You got 2 of them, right? I've got 3 daughters, right? What about that bully happens to be your best client, right? I know for the first 5 years of my marriage, it was very tumultuous because I had this belief life is all about me. I learned it from my dad. And so anytime my wife said something I didn't like, I would rip her head off. She was abrasive to me. I was abrasive back to her. She was rude to me. I let her know she couldn't get away with that. I was rude back to her. Guess where that got me? Doghouse, right? Because I was believing a lie. Life is all about me. That's why I was so anxious and fearful. And so when I finally recognized the truth that life is not about me, it's about serving others, it changed the way I responded to my wife and others. Now, fast forward, when my wife says something I used to think was rude, now my first thought is not on me, it's on my wife going, man, I wonder what's going on. There's got to be something below the surface driving this. I know that hurt people hurt people. So rather than taking it personally, I get with her. I say, hey, I can see you're upset. What's going on? And she'll start venting and she'll start telling me about her day. And very quickly, I realized this had nothing to do with me. She was just having a tough day. She was taking it out on me. And so what do? I listen, I encourage, I support, and I build a relationship rather than tearing it down. How did I do that? Well, I have a belief system that allowed me to master my emotions and rise above the circumstances. So let's see how this works in sales. If I'm saying you can't control how people receive you, you can't control the results, but you can always control how you show up and the service you provide, how are you serving your clients? Because you ought to be able to serve your clients every single touch you make, every contact, every single interaction you should be serving. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, we shouldn't just be serving our clients. We should be serving every human being we encounter. I don't care if it's the grocery clerk. I don't care if it's our neighbor next door. I don't care if it's our spouse or our kids. I don't care if it's our dogs or a cat. We were made to serve, right? So how are you serving folks? Imagine you get a referral for a person that might be interested in selling their house, and you're going to call that referral to set an appointment. How are you serving them on that phone conversation? Philip, what would you say?
serve them fearlessly with confidence that I have value to add to your wedding.
Okay, good. Now, if we say the service we're providing is if they set the appointment, if they decide to list their house with you, and if they allow you to sell their house, what kind of service is that? Anybody know? It's called conditional service. Guess what? That's not something that we can control. You're basically saying, hey, I'll serve you as long as I get something back out of it, right? As long as I get something in return. That's like serving with ulterior motives. It's not true service, right? You can't control that. That's why we have fear, worrying about things we can't control. What makes us fearless is when we focus on what we can control. I can't control the results. I can always control the service I provide. You want to provide unconditional service. You want to serve people regardless of what you get back in return, right? So how are you serving them in that phone call? Chris, I'd like to do a role play with you. And so I'm going to be the real estate agent, and I want you to be the prospective client. I'm going to call you. The first approach I'm going to do like the average approach where I'm serving very conditional. Second approach, I'm going to serve you. It's going to be the on purpose approach where I'm serving you regardless of what I get back in return. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See if you can tell the difference. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello, it's Chris.
Hey, Chris, this is Steve Reiner with Remax Real Estate. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, Brian Clute recommended I give you a call. Did he tell you I'd be calling?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I represented Brian, and we sold his house for more money than he could have ever imagined. And he said that you would be in the market for a great realtor. And so he thought it would make sense for me to call you. And man, I'd love to sit down with you and share with you how we'd be able to get your house sold for more than you could ever imagine in as short of a time period as possible. I've got some time open on Thursday and Friday. Which day do you think might work better for you?
I'm not sure I'm needing a realtor right now.
Darn it. Okay, that's the first approach. Did I provide any unconditional service? No. Let's try it again. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello, it's Chris.
Hey, Chris, this is Steve Reiner. Hey, Brian Clute asked me to give you a call. Hey, does that mean help me or does that hurt me?
I know Brian. Yeah, it
Yeah.
helps you.
Okay, Brian's got a lot of respect for you. Want to hear what he had to say?
Absolutely.
Brian just said you have a heart for Jesus. He said you're not afraid to just walk out your faith and to share what you believe. He said you have this heart for service. He said whenever he spends time with you, he always feels lifted up and encouraged. He said just knowing you makes him want to be a better person. Am I getting this right?
That sounds better than the truth, but yeah, sounds good.
He said you're very humble. He said he said you wouldn't take the credit for that. The reason why I'm calling, Brian's a client of mine. I'm actually with Remax Real Estate. We were able to be blessed enough to sell Brian's house recently. And Brian didn't assume that you're ready to sell your house, and he didn't assume that you needed a realtor. He just thought the two of us were just equally yoked. He felt like the two of us had a lot in common, shared a very similar value system. And man, if you're up for it, brother, I'd love to grab some coffee with you one day. I'd love to kind of hear about your vision and find out about your family and what your goals are. Love to share with you more about me. If it makes sense to do something together, that's great. Not that's okay too. One thing I'll commit to is I'm going to serve you, provide you some resources, regardless whether or not we decide to work together. That sounds all right. I've got some time next week, Thursday and Friday. Which day do you think might work better for you?
Thursday sounds great.
Okay, all right. So what was different between those two approaches? Kathy? Not selling. Okay. Tell me more. Excellent. Was there a value in me sharing those kind words from Chris's friend? Yeah, I believe so. I believe most people are depressed. Raise your hand if you agree with that statement. Most people are depressed, anxious. And if you could share some encouraging words that their friend said, I believe that is a service. In fact, I would say that's probably one of the best services people can be provided with right now. That might be the kindest thing they've heard in a long time, right? Why do I do it? Do I do it to get my foot in the door so I can get a listing? No, I do it because it's my purpose to call out greatness in people. Because I used to wake up every morning with a pit in my stomach, worried about me, focused on me. Life is about me, worrying about rejection, worrying about hitting my goals. Once I recognized the lie and replaced it with the truth, life is not about me, it's about serving others. I stopped waking up with a pit in my stomach. I started waking up with fire in my belly going, I can't wait to positively impact every single person I talk to today. I can't wait to bring the thunder and make a difference. I'm convinced if you want to be depressed, just focus on yourself all day. If you want to experience real joy, develop a heart for service. I know something Chris Haynes would agree with. Some of you guys might think what I've been talking about is common sense, but I will tell you that less than 5% of the real estate industry has a true heart for service. I would say 95% they're serving conditionally. They're serving so they can get something back in return, right? But when you have a true heart for service, you're serving regardless of what you get back in return. Here's the cool thing. When you serve unconditionally, you simultaneously receive regardless of what you get back in return. When you serve, you feel great. Why is that? Because that's the way that God made us. And if you try to go against that, it will not be sustainable. It will not work over the long haul. When you have that true heart for service, people will see in your eyes, they'll hear it in your voice, and they will be drawn to you. And you will get more listings than you ever thought possible. But that will not be the focus. That will be the fruit of having a heart for service. You guys with me? All right, so raise your hand if you picked up at least one thing in our time together today. All right. You guys mind if I share with you how this coaching program works? All right, let's get into it. And I just wanted to put something out there. Even if not one person enrolls in our coaching program and I serve today, then I achieve my goal. I achieve my goal. And so I do not want you to think that I came here today to just sell you coaching. I told Chris, if I'm going to do this, we're going to change some lives. And Chris, like, well, I hope we can get you some clients. I said, Chris, even if we don't get one client, if I can serve, I can make a difference, then we've achieved the goal, right? And I believe God will take care of me, if I just continue to serve unconditionally. And so hopefully nobody walks out of here cursing at Chris, going, what'd you have this guy trying to sell me coaching for? I thought I was coming for lunch and learn. I didn't know he was going to try to sell me. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm going to present an opportunity for you, right? And if it sounds great, and if it sounds like something you want to do, then let's go for it. Let's rock it out. If it's not, that's cool, right? It won't hurt my feelings. You got to do what's best for you. Let me explain how this thing works, though. There's three main reasons why people get into coaching. One is they want to increase their income. The truth is most people are operating at less than 50% of their potential. Raise your hand if you would agree with that. Most people are operating less than 50% of their potential. Ask yourself, what percentage of your potential are you operating at today? The truth is having a coach that keeps you accountable, equipped, and encouraged with the best tools out there will get you closer to 100%. So you do the math. If you can increase 50%, 25% to your potential, how's that going to translate to an increase in your income? Our average client has a 46% increase in income, right? And it makes sense. It's like having a personal trainer. I know when I go to the gym on my own versus having a trainer, it's a night and day difference in terms of the kind of workout I get. Second reason why people enroll in coaching is to improve their systems, to multiply their time. I think about one of my clients' name is Matthew Schultz. When we started coaching together, he was making about $200,000. But his goal for coaching was he wanted to get more balance. He felt like he was working all the time. He said, even when I'm not physically working, he said, I'm thinking about work. He's like, I'll be on vacation thinking about work. I'm just not present with my family. And so we worked with him on systems, processes to now work harder, work smarter, get more done in less time, right? So he could grow his income while creating more margin in his schedule. And after working together for 1 year, not only did he go from making $200,000 to making $400,000, but he would say, I got my life back. I don't work past 5 o'clock. I don't work on the weekends. And now when I'm with my family, I'm actually present. He would say the biggest thing he got out of coaching was he has balance finally. Third reason people get into coaching is to improve their confidence. Something we always tell our clients is I believe what's going to be most impacting for you this year, Christian, is not going to be the fact that we helped you make $1 million. I believe what's going to be most impacting this year, it's going to be about the characteristics you embrace along the way to not only help you to earn that money, but it's those characteristics that will transcend your career and help you to be the person you desire to be, to have the impact that you desire to have, to live the kind of life you desire to live. Characteristics like unconditional confidence, true fearlessness, relaxed intensity, consistency, endurance. A lot of people enjoy coaching for the confidence they get from the program. So what's all included? A one-on-one call with your own personal coach. We're considered the Navy SEALs when it comes to sales coaching. And the reason why is because we're in the trenches with our clients. We never ask our clients to do anything that we're not doing ourselves. There's a lot of coaching programs out there where they can pay a lot of money to become a certified coach, to coach on a topic they've never actually implemented in their own career. That's not us. We're all top 1% producers, the best of the best. We're going to walk our talk with our clients. So you're going to get this one-on-one relationship with this coach. You're going to meet with your coach formally 2 times a month for an hour. So it's every other week. We have 165 coaches. And so we're not a one size fits all. And so we're going to have you do a personality profile. And then we're going to match you with the perfect coach that can really hit a home run for you. We have over 90 different modules. So every client has different needs. We're not a cookie cutter approach to coaching. And so maybe, maybe your need, Aaron, is you really want to help with time management. Maybe you feel like you're just kind of running around like a chicken with your head cut off and you just really want to learn to be more structured and organized. Maybe Troy, what you want help with is social media. Maybe you kind of feel like technology just isn't your thing and you'd like to elevate that, maybe, Tim, where you could use some help is just being more fearless, maybe it's just being able to like show up with that courage and that confidence each day. Whatever your goals are for coaching, if you want to develop a referral-based clientele, learn how to brand yourself, we can help you with that. We have different modules for different, things that you want to get out of coaching. We have online learning videos. So different people learn different ways. So in between coaching calls, you're going to receive a 3-minute video that's going to reinforce the coaching. Critical success factors. So we have an online activity tracker. So what we'll do is we'll reverse engineer your production goal, get it down to a daily activity target. So depending on what your goal is, we're going to help you to figure out what metrics you're going to need to focus on to be able to achieve your goals. Then we're going to help you create a schedule so that you know exactly what you're doing every minute of the day. So you're going to have a flight plan. We're going to keep you accountable to it. If you just follow through, you're going to crush it. So how do I know it's right for me? You got to be coachable. You can't act like, well, I've been doing this for 20 years, so I've arrived. No, our best clients are students of the game. They believe either you're green and growing or you're ripe and rotting. So you got to be coachable. You got to be humble. You got to be willing to be impacted. You have to be committed, not for life, but for the next 12 months. We're not asking for a big time commitment. It's more of an emotional commitment. A lot of people that make a decision to enroll in coaching, it's like they're saying, I'm ready to draw the line in the sand, take my business to the next level. Let's go. You have to be willing to change. Everyone wants to see change, but very few people are willing to change because change is hard. But what I would ask you is, what's more difficult? Is it the pain of changing or the pain of not growing, staying the same? So if you can answer yes to these 3 questions, then we know and you can know coaching would be a great opportunity. If you couldn't answer yes, then you shouldn't do it. So how much is it? $700 a month. We have 2 programs. The first program is called Top Producer's Edge, $700 a month. There's a one-time activation fee of $165. It's a 12-month commitment. After 12 months, it goes month to month. Is it worth $700 a month? I don't know. You have to ask yourself, how many additional houses would you have to sell to be able to get that return on investment? From all of our real estate clients, they say, Steve, that means on average, we have to sell 1 more house in a year and we will get a return on investment. So what did you learn today? Ask yourself this question. With this kind of ongoing training for the next 12 months and daily accountability, is there any way you're not going to be able to sell at least 1 more house to be able to get return on investment? Most of our clients are going to say, like, within the 3rd month, they've already made enough money to cover the entire cost of the program and everything else is bonus. Our average client has a 46% increase in production that goes through our coaching. We also have an elite level coaching program. And so for people that are making over $200,000, this is something you might want to consider. The difference between the programs, obviously there's price. Elite level is $1,400 a month. There's a one-time activation fee of $200. The difference between the 2 programs is the actual coach, right? So with the Top Producer Edge coach, you're going to get one of our great coaches who's going to coach out of our playbook in a very customized manner to meet your goals. If you work with one of our elite level coaches, you're working with a coach that actually helped write the playbook. So it's a more seasoned veteran coach that's achieved a higher level of breakthrough success in their business, and they could coach at that elite level. So it's just a more veteran coach. They're both great programs. Depending on what your goals are would determine which one makes the most sense. But what if the timing is bad? What if I don't have the money right now? One thing I can tell you is the timing's never right, and people don't ever have money waiting to be invested in coaching. But if you're asking this question, really what you're saying is, I don't know if it's going to work for me. Because if you knew it would work, it probably wouldn't matter what the timing is, because you know you'd make more than enough to recover your investment. So I think if you're asking this, really what you're saying is, I don't know if it would work for me. But what if I told you that's the wrong question? Reason why I say that is because the average client has a 46% increase in production. So really the question you should be asking yourself is not, will it work for me? But will I do the work? In other words, will I be coachable? Will I be committed? Am I willing to change? Because if you could do those three things, hopefully you believe in yourself enough, or if the average person can have a 46% increase in income, hopefully you believe in yourself that you could at least do average. And if you do that, you're going to do great. At the end of the day, the only risk you're taking is on yourself, whether or not you can be coachable and work hard, be willing to change. And so raise your hand if you're just open-minded to coaching, just open-minded. Okay. Chris, I'd love for you to share why you had me in today and why you believe coaching is a good thing.
Absolutely. Guys, give it up for Steve. He shows up like this all the time. Like it's not just today that he shows up like this. It's like this all the time. So I've been in coaching since 2011 in different programs. I've invested, I counted this up, this probably sounds crazy. I've invested over $500,000 in personal growth, coaching, and development. And if you said, hey, I'll give you a check for everything I've ever invested in it, but you can never grow again, read more books, learn from people who have been further down the road, I wouldn't take that check. Okay. So I think that personal coaching, personal development is the number one thing that you can do that will take you to the next level. Been coaching with Steve since 2018, and this is what he coaches on. This is what they coach on. It's about coming in and saying, where are you right now? Doesn't matter where you're at. Where's the next level? Then when you get to that level, where's the next level? So guys, our goal as loan officers, if you're a realtor, is to serve you. If I'm a branch manager, I got loan officers here, is to serve you guys, to help you guys get to a win in your business. I'll tell you this, if you're who's thinking about coaching, who thinks coaching might be something that they want to do? So if you think you might want to do it, you just need to act. That's the biggest thing that separates people that are super successful and not, is taking action. Okay, so if you think you want to do it, do it. I love Southwestern Consulting. They do a great job, but you need a coach, no matter who it is. I've done Tony Robbins. I've done the core. There's all kinds of great places. But if you want to, if you've never done coaching, you're thinking about it today, I would highly recommend jump on board, get a 40, who wants a 46% increase in their income this year, right? Well, that's their average. Who in here is average? Right? If you jump in, you're probably gonna be above average, right? So guys, I also let you know, I'm a big believer in coaching. If you're thinking about it, jump in and do it. A year from now, you're gonna be asking yourself that question. Am I glad that I did this? If you did it, the answer is gonna be absolutely, I have a return on investment, or I wish I had done it. And I think the biggest regrets we have in life are the chances we don't take. Right? When you take chances, you either win because it worked out well, or you learn. So I think the biggest chance you can take is not taking a chance. So Steve, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. You guys are so blessed to be working with Chris and Chris's loan officers. I've been working with loan officers and realtors for over 20 years now, and there's nobody that's better than Chris Haynes in terms of having that heart for service. And that person that truly loves the Lord and loves serving others. So you guys are in a great place with Chris and Chris's company. So we want to make this as easy for you as possible for people that are excited about enrolling. These are the things that we're going to include in the coaching. An audio recording of our live one-day sales conference. It's a $500 value. That's all part of this coaching. You're going to get 42 days of prospecting power. So every morning you're going to get a 4-minute video delivered to your inbox on how to prospect more enjoyably, more effectively. And then you're going to get our top producer pack, including all of our best-selling books, including my book, Navigate 2.0, How to Sell the Way People Like to Buy. So that's all part of the coaching program. Well, what I want to say is you got to do what's best for you. And if you don't feel like this is the best thing for you, you shouldn't do, right? But if you do feel like this is best for you, but you have fear, what I would ask you is, what else are you not pursuing because you're letting fear hold you back? And just imagine how your life could be impacted if you could show up each day fearless. What would that do to your business? What would that do to your life? Right? Is there a cost? Yeah, $700 a month. But what I would challenge you to consider is what's the opportunity cost every month you're not showing up as the best version of yourself? How much money are you leaving on the table to not show up at 100%? Better yet, how many more lives could you impact if you could bust through some limiting beliefs, show up each day fearless to crush your goals and have a blast doing it? So there's three categories you can fall into. The first category is, you know what, this just makes sense. You know, everything resonates, you know, let's go. If you're in the first category, then we're going to show you how to get enrolled today. You have an enrollment form in front of you. We're going to have you just complete the enrollment form. We're going to get you paired up with a coach. We're going to crush it. Second category is, you know what, this sounds really good, but I've got questions. If you're in the second category, then what I'd like to do is schedule some time to visit with you, get your questions answered, and see if it's a good fit. If it is, great. If not, that's okay too. I'm not going to try to twist your arm to do this. Just want to answer your questions. And the third category is it's not for you, and that's okay too, right? So if I can have everyone just open up your packet where it says 58%, and you'll see this enrollment form. And so if you're in the first category, then you can start completing the enrollment form. If you're in the second category, just fill out the top so that we have your contact information so that we can schedule a time to follow up with you. If you're in the third category, that's okay too. And do me a favor, where this on this workbook page, you can keep that. Go ahead and circle a 1, 2, or 3 on the corner so we know where you're at. So we're not going to try to set up an appointment with you if you're a 3, right? So if you're a 1, you're going to want to fill out the enrollment form. And I'm going to schedule a time to visit with you as well. If you're a 2, fill out the top of the enrollment form and we'll schedule some time to visit either today while I'm here in Nashville before I fly home tonight, or I'll schedule a virtual call for the future. Schedule like a 30-minute call. And if you're a 3, that's cool. But do me a favor if you can, we're just going to like walk around and we're going to see if you're wanting to schedule a time to visit or not. So if you can put that on your paper. And then lastly, raise your hand if you got value out of our time together today. Okay. So if you guys can, you see in this workbook, there's a place for referrals. Do you guys ask for referrals in your business? How many of you guys need to do that more consistently? You know, the number one reason people don't get more referrals, they just don't ask, right? And so if you got value out of this, if you know somebody that is a manager that manages salespeople, those are our best referrals. Or you know a salesperson that you really think would appreciate hearing about this. But more than anything, you know, if you know somebody that you think is a manager of salespeople that would probably appreciate having a workshop like this for a sales team, then put their name down. And where it says golden nugget, that's write down something that you respect about them. Kind of like I did that role play with Chris. Write down something that you respect. So if you can put their contact information and make sure you include your name. And then what we're going to do is we're going to auction off my book, Navigate 2.0, How to Sell the Way People Like to Buy. So if you provide at least one referral, your name's going to go in a hat. We're going to drop the name and you'll get this book if your name gets drawn. So we'd appreciate that. But if you guys can stick around, I know, Chris, are we going to have an opportunity for lunch?
Yep.
Okay. And so if you guys can just, again, put a 1, 2, or 3 before we break for lunch. We're just going to go around the room real quick. And for people that are wanting to schedule a time to visit, to talk about coaching, we'll go ahead and schedule you. At the very least, get your contact information so we can schedule you for future. And then we'll go from there.
What do the people online need to do to schedule?
Yes. So thank you, Chris. For people that are online, go ahead and just text me on my cell phone if you're a 1, a 2, or a 3. Go ahead and text me if you're a 1, 2, or 3. And I'll go ahead and schedule you some time to visit from there. All right, if you guys can just hang out for a couple minutes as I run around the room, and Keith and Michelle, And Heather, if you can help as well.
Hey, guys, you guys online, thank you all for joining us. We do have lunch, guys, as you're hanging out. And of course, if you have folks we can help in the real estate side, get pre-approved for mortgage, we would love to do that today too. Thank you guys online. Thank you guys that are all here.